Choosing the correct adjective can sometimes be difficult, especially in certain confusing cases. One of those cases is whether or not to use less or fewer. That is the question. And a lot of people get this confused, so I don't want this to hold you up. Less is used when you're talking about things that aren't countable. Like you would say, there is less sand on this beach than the beach we were at last weekend, because sand's not something that's countable. You use fewer when you're referring to something that is countable. Like, there are fewer doors on this house than the last house we lived in, because doors is something that's very countable. Let's take a look at some examples. There are fewer people over here. People is something that's countable, so we use fewer. This sentence says there is less water in this river. Now, you could argue that water is something countable, because you could think, oh, you can count water in gallons of water. But we're not talking about gallons of water. We're just talking about water in general, and water is not something that's countable. So we use the adjective less. There is less water in this river. Now, this next sentence combines cases in which we can use less and fewer. It says, use less sugar when making fewer cookies. Sugar is not something that's countable. I mean, of course, you could count each individual grain of sugar, but overall, sugar is not countable. So we use the adjective less. And then we continue on to the sentence. It says, use less sugar when making fewer cookies. Cookies is something that's very countable, so we use the adjective fewer. Now finally, there is a case which makes this whole case kind of more confusing. When you're talking about something that contains a number, when you're talking about numerical things, you use the adjective less. So this sentence says the shirt will cost less than $20. Now you may think that dollars is something that's very countable. It is, but to be grammatically correct, you use the adjective less. This shirt will cost less than $20. Or this purchase will consume less than 45% of my budget. If you're using a percentage or any kind of statistical or numerical thing in a sentence, you use the adjective less. So that's just a side note you need to remember. But overall, you use less when you're talking about something that's not countable. And you use fewer when you're talking about something that is countable.
If you need a study guide, click the book at the bottom of the page. If you want more free test videos, subscribe to us on YouTube. If you just want to keep watching, click the next video.